And I give the call to the member for Hughes, who has indicated to me he wishes the call. The member for Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise on a matter of privilege arising out of the recent conduct of Facebook Inc., which I believe is a contempt of Parliament, resulting from the company's improper interference with the free performance of my duties as a member of the Australian House of Representatives by obstructing and or impeding me in the discharge of those duties. And I seek precedence to move a motion to refer this matter to the Committee of Privileges and Members' Interests. Mr Speaker, in seeking precedence to move this motion, I provide the following particulars. Firstly, I submit that by virtue of Section 49 of the Constitution and Section 4 of the Parliamentary Privileges Act, that there are two thresholds that I must meet to make out a case of contempt of Parliament. Firstly, the conduct in question must directly or indirectly produce a result that obstructs or impedes a member of the House in the discharge of his duties. And secondly, that the conduct is intended or is likely to amount to an improper interference with the free performance of the member's duties. As per the provisions of Section 5 of the Standing Orders, the member's role states the primary duty of the Member of Parliament is to represent the interests of their constituents. And it is self-evident that this requires free and frequently communicating with constituents. Therefore, any conduct that obstructs or impedes a member's ability to communicate with constituents meets the first threshold of being contempt. Facebook platforms today are a major tool for all members of Parliament to communicate with constituents. Today, virtually all politicians communicate extensively through social media, which is dominated by Facebook. According to an analysis published by Glenroe, 77.7% of Australians aged 16 to 64 used Facebook in December 2020. In fact, the official web page of the Australian Parliament, aph.gov.au, when you go into the search section for senators and members, a search result brings up a member with a connect function, which for most members includes the Facebook logo on the Australian official parliamentary web page and with an embedded link to that member's Facebook page. Also on the official aph.gov website, each member and senator has a page with a menu, drop-down menu to select, which has 1 office details, 2 connect and 3 electoral details. By clicking on the connect link, for most members, this again brings up the Facebook logo with an embedded link to the member's Facebook page. A search for Craig Kelly today on the official aph.gov.au website brings up the words "Connect with Craig Kelly," and underneath this there is the Facebook logo with an embedded link to my Facebook page, or what was my Facebook page. However, if a constituent clicks on the Facebook logo on my official parliamentary page to connect with me through Facebook, a message comes up which states, "This page isn't available. The link you have followed may be broken or the page removed." The conduct of removing this link has obstructed and or impeded my ability to communicate with my constituents and for my constituents to communicate with me. I've maintained a Facebook page as Craig Kelly MP shortly after first being elected in 2010. I used the platform to communicate directly with my constituents and for my constituents to communicate with me in the discharge of my duties. This includes posting such things as videos and transcripts of my speeches in Parliament and other proceedings in Parliament, my contributions to the national debate on political issues before Parliament in addition to local electoral matters, details of private members' bills that I was proposing to introduce to Parliament, the work of parliamentary committees that I was a member of, including calling for public submissions for inquiries being undertaken by those committees, informing constituents of government grants and programs, research and data on issues before the Parliament. Importantly, the Facebook platform enables the above to be undertaken in real time or near real time with the ability of live broadcasts. In the language of an economist, there is no perfect substitute for Facebook. All other platforms are lesser communication tools. Therefore, if a member is banned by Facebook, they are less able to discharge their duties compared to other parliamentary colleagues. The page that I have maintained has grown, with over 80,000 people liking that page and over 100,000 people following that page. Before being banned, I was averaging over 1 million interactions, that's likes, comments and shares per month, enabling me to fulsomely and vigorously represent the interests of my constituents. The Facebook platform includes also a comments section in each thread, which enabled me to communicate backwards and forth with my constituents and to receive feedback. The Facebook page also has a separate messenger service in which constituents would be able to send me messages and I would reply back to them as part of my duties to communicate with the constituents of Hughes. I'd often receive 20 to 50 messages per day through this platform, indefinitely more than I would receive through regular mail. The events that led up to my ban was on Monday the 26th of April I received a text message from Facebook's Australian representative advising that my page had been banned. Shortly after, on the same day, I replied, "Thank you for the advice. Is it possible to know what this alleged misinformation was, and is it possible to appeal against that?" To date, Facebook has not provided me with any particulars or any further information as to what they have unilaterally determined was so-called misinformation, and the period for seeking an appeal to Facebook against their ruling has now expired. Further, on the 28th of April, Facebook also issued a media release which was widely reported by the ABC, which states, "We don't allow anyone, including elected officials, to share misinformation about COVID-19 that could lead to..."
If I could just interrupt the member for Hughes, and I'm reluctant to, but he's been speaking for quite a period of time, and with a matter of privilege, the obligation is to set out the facts so that they can be considered, not to debate the matter with material that might be interesting, but the issue of privilege won't turn on it. So I'm not sure how long he's planning to speak for, but it shouldn't be for very much longer.
Certainly, Mr Speaker.
And of course he has the opportunity, as has been communicated to him and is certainly there in the established practice, to table, and indeed I'd encourage him to table any documentation that he considers to be supporting documentation, and then the matter can be considered. But even with very, very serious matters of privilege, the speeches have not gone for this length of time. Sure. So I'm going to ask him to if there's any other pertinent facts, certainly raise those and table any documentation.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I will do so. I will table the documents at the conclusion of my speech that support those facts. The simple fact is, Mr Speaker, I've been black banned and deplatformed from the Facebook's platforms. I'm unable to communicate through their messenger service, which means constituents have actually sent messages to me that I don't know even exist today, and I'm unable to respond to them. This is not only, it is also improper conduct, which I argue as well, Mr Speaker. I'll leave it there. I'm in your hands for further directions, but I seek to table the documents in support.
Sure. Okay. So I think there being no objection to leave being granted, those documents are tabled. And I thank the member for Hughes. I'll consider the matter in the normal way and report back to the House, but of course it won't be today.